and I'm doing some a little different. I think this is the second go around. I'm plugged into Clubhouse. So if you're on Clubhouse, welcome. Plugged into IG. Thank you for being here. Also, YouTube, Facebook, and broadcasting live from HAPS, where it's all happening from. Want to welcome all of you to a Late Nights with Ace Thursday night. This is a therapeutic Thursday for myself. You know, I love being here with you, right? So, um, want to thank you for being here. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the love, the messages, everything. Just want to do a couple shout outs. Shout out to Brother Shan that just started this all a couple months ago and turned me on to HAPS. And you can check him out on HAPS. Brother Shan, I call him the Sheik, but shout out to him. He kind of like got this rolling for me and turned me on to HAPS. And then, shout out to HAPS for really putting me in the driver's seat here. I feel as though I'm in a cockpit as I'm talking to you because I got so many things to monitor. I got 3 devices that I'm monitoring here and just want to keep everything uniformal. So if I break away from time to time, I guess I'm just doing a systems check to make sure everything is going well. Also shout out to King Henry, brother. Want to thank you for that audio message that you sent me a couple days ago. That really, really meant a lot to me. So, again, thank you for being here. If you are brand new, definitely make sure that you subscribe. And why do you want to subscribe? You want to subscribe because you don't want to miss any of the content that I bring to this space in these virtual streets. I bring a unique perspective on a lot of things dealing with spirituality and just allowing you to just open up your brain waves a little bit and think a little differently about some of the things that are affecting us day to day as we journey through this experience called life. Yesterday, I did a video on the blood moon, and I was really surprised at the number of responses that I got. I had people that were texting me, had people that were calling me, people were leaving comments on Facebook, and I just really didn't know that people were into the moon like that. And what's interesting is that how the moon was affecting different people. If you didn't get a chance to watch the video that I put out, I was really talking about a couple nights ago, fam. I didn't get any sleep at all. And some of the very worst situation that I'm dealing with right now reared its ugly head and had me tossing and turning all throughout the night. And this moon in Aries is all about an energy that affects us differently, but for me it just put something to my consciousness that I had to make a decision. Was I going to sink deeper into the situation that I was dealing with, or was I going to be able to transcend? And I got to be honest with you, I went down the escalator of darkness 2 nights ago. I literally got on board and I experienced some energies that were cold, sadness, a hint of depression, anger, um, just all of those lower dense energies. I literally on the escalator going down, I felt all of them, and I rode these energies to the bottom, to the very bottom. But this is the cool thing. The cool thing was I didn't stay there long. I was able to get back on the escalator going the other way and bring my energy back up to where it needed to be. And that's the really good thing about what took place with that. And if you are going through something similar, if you're going through something in which you are, dealing with similar type things, it could be a different situation. Understand that you have the power within you to get back on the escalator and take your energy in a whole different direction. Okay. You don't have to sit there in the mess. You don't have to sit there in that energy. You will experience some things, you will experience some of the darker energies, but this moon gave me an opportunity to make a decision. I made a decision to transcend. I made a decision to evolve. I made a decision to take my energy and deal with my feelings. I didn't do anything crazy. I didn't, normally I would go for a drive. Normally I would hit things. Normally I would start just acting all out of character. And I didn't do that. I did not take my power and give it away to the situation. I contained myself. And even though I was experiencing some of the things that I was experiencing, I was able to sit with those experiences, sit with what I was feeling, and I handled it like a soldier. I really did. So know that you have the power within you whenever you feel yourself in that moment that you can make the decision to take your energy in a whole different direction. Okay. So I've been, this whole concept with the moon is something pretty new to me. It's something that I've been studying and taking a closer look at. I want to say the last 5, 6 months. I don't have like years in studying the moon and, anything like that. I have been just doing this for a little bit, but I really am enjoying what I'm learning about the moon and the effects that it can have. And this morning when I woke up, and by the way, I slept through the night without any issues. But this morning, when I woke up to meditate, this had to be in the late 5 o'clock, early 6 o'clock hour. The moon was just there, like, bam. It was like, it was just there. It was so striking, the light that was coming and radiating off of the moon. In fact, if you're in Clubhouse, you won't be able to see this, but I had to take a picture of it. And I'm in my family room behind my patio window, and I snapped this picture. And this was the picture of the moon again early this morning before my meditation. And again, I was just in awe at its presence. Its presence really commanded me. And I just stood there and I just gazed for a few minutes, just thinking through like how awesome is this? So this isn't the end. I really feel that moving forward, the moon is going to have an effect on many more of us. I think the moon is going to strike us and hit us differently. And it's going to give us the opportunity to take in its energy. And talking with my partner Annette, who's been talking to me about the moon forever. And I can remember years ago, she had talked to me about the moon. I'd just be looking at her like, lady, you're crazy. Like the moon is just the moon. And here I am acting like a moon cheerleader, talking about the moon in this way. But I think there's a communication that's going on between the moon and us individually. I think there's a communication going on between the moon and the sun and the planet. And I would ask you to observe a little bit more some of these things. Observe the moon when you see it and just grab the feeling within you to see if something is there. And it's not about if it's going to happen, it's only a matter of when it's going to happen. It took me a little longer with the moon, but now I feel like I have a real cool connection with the moon. And I'm wondering about things about the moon now. I feel that there's more going on to the moon than we know about, but the light, I don't know about you, the light was just striking. As I sat in my meditation chair, the moon's light was so strong, it hit the back of my deck. I felt like I could have went out there and just read a book. That the light was just that bright when the moon was doing what it did this morning. So pay more attention, be more observant. This time of the year where I'm at up north, even with the sun, there are a lot of things going on with the sun. And this is the time of the year where we get less sun. I think daylight saving times takes place next month, and we won't have a lot of sunlight. And what do we need to do? We need to up our vitamin D. Something Annette was telling me, hey, Ace, you need to up your vitamin D this time of the year because the sunlight that we receive up north, it's going to be reduced as far as the time. So now I'm up to 5,000 IUs. Make sure that you're putting the right vitamin D, but pay attention to the moon, pay attention to the effects that the moon may be having on you. And the only way that you're going to be able to capture that is through feeling how the moon strikes you when you observe it. Okay, same thing with the sun. I've been spending a lot more time in the sun. I think between last year and this year, I've spent a lot more time observing the sun, appreciating the sun. And again, these planets, in addition to the sun and the moon, they're all communicating with each other. I think they're all talking. Mother Earth is a live entity. And I'm now starting to look at her that way like, wow, when you look at nature and everything that comes out of the ground, how could the earth not be alive? So there's a lot of communication going on. And I think it gives us the opportunity to be able to tap in to those things. And again, it's all going to mean something different to us. But I feel that there is some type of positive meaning for anyone, for any individual that decides that they want to tap in to the sun, tap into the moon, tap into Mother Earth. I think there's an individual meaning that can help us on this journey. Okay. So the other thing I want you to pay attention to are the kids hitting the planet in these times. Oh my God. I can't really pinpoint a time frame. I can't really pinpoint, how far back. And all people that hit this planet are unique. That is, I don't want to take away from the uniqueness of every one of us that come here. But there's something about the kids that are hitting the planet now. Fam, they're wired differently. And if you have young ones, you should know this. They are hitting the planet differently. Babies born in 2015, 16, 17, 18, the last couple years, the babies that are hitting the planet now, they are mission equipped, in my opinion. They are wired differently. And I think they have a message for us. And their message is this, like, okay, we let y'all do it your way. We are flat out taking over. So watch the young ones coming up. I have a 12-year-old, I'm going to just label her a second generation daughter, and she's wired different. I have a second generation son through my daughter, and he's wired different. And yes, I'm using these creative words, second and all that. I am never going to use kids and the other word grand and bring them together. I don't roll that way. So if you hear me talking like that, it's a reason because I'm a young cat. Okay. And I choose to stay young. So, yes, no one is going to be calling me grand anything. Maybe Grand Poobah, but no one's going to be calling me grand and put me up on some shelf. Like, no, I'm a young G. That's how I look at myself. So, um, these kids that are hitting the planet now are wired differently. And in no way can we expect them to be or act like us. They are very confident, very confident. They have their own personality and they're not buying into the programming that we went through. Okay, if you're an adult listening to this, you know what I'm talking about. They're not buying into that. They're not buying into these imaginary things. And no, they're wired differently. And we have to pay attention to them because their mannerisms may be different, and we have to allow space for this. We have to allow space for their creativity. We don't need to smother them with our programming, our way of thinking, our way of looking at things. They're wired different. And if you have young kids, chime in, whether you're on Facebook, wherever you're at, Instagram, chime in if you know what I'm talking about. These kids, they're just different. And I believe that a lot of them are here on a mission. Like if you're coming to this planet now, you're not coming here to play joke. You're not coming, you're like coming here with a defined mission. And what we don't need to do as the old heads of the planet is to get in the way of this new energy that is coming to this planet through these new kids. Remember, Mother Earth is evolving. And guess what else has to evolve? What else has to evolve are the new entities via being a human being that are coming here too. So you may have been responsible in being the vessel to get them to planet Earth, but trust me, they may operate completely different than what you thought. You know how you have kids and you have this version of what their ideal life should be growing up? It don't work that way, people. It just doesn't work that way. So, understand that you may have been the vessel, but these kids are wired, and they're going in a totally different direction. Totally different direction. I'm trying to see if I can read some of these comments. Um, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have to figure, pretty soon, fam, I'm going to be in a situation. Okay, honey, what's going on, lady? Went to high school with honey. She's talking about absolutely right. Britt, yeah, you're the daughter that has the other one. Um, but yeah, these kids that are coming up now, totally different, fam. And again, we have to give them space. And I don't want to give a time frame, but I would say in the last 10, 12 years. But I think as we got closer to like 2018, 2019, 2020, and all the kids that are being born moving forward, they're going to be different. They're going to be different. I happen to believe that I'm going to live until my 80s, so I'm going to be able to see a lot of these kids that are hitting the planet now and how they progress and how they really change humanity. But keep an eye on these young kids because there's something magical going on. I actually believe that the universe, as they look at humanity, it's like, okay, we've seen what the human beings have done to the planet and how they're progressing through. We have to send in the SEAL Team 8 crew, which are these new kids that are hitting on the planet, and they're literally going to take over. And it's all part of the old earth shedding and the new earth coming about. This is all part of the divine plan. So when I talk about what's next for humanity, and this is really part two to the video, what's next for humanity is the continuing of the evolution, the continuing of things just moving in the direction that it needs to move, the continuing of people awakening. And what does awakening look like? Well, it's different for everyone. But a lot of this awakening is going to be recognizing, like in an instant, that hold on, none of this feels right in my life. That's how a lot of awakening is happening, is like the stuff that I used to do no longer makes sense. I'm recognizing that things are off. I'm recognizing that I've been severely subdued with this heavy programming. Fam, I'm going to tell you something. There are three things that have brought in the masses in this funnel type of system. Okay, and I'm going to walk you through those. Our educational system, number one, indoctrination. Everyone gets the same curriculum, so to speak. Yeah, you might be in a private school, you might be in a public school, or anything in between, but this is what I'm talking about. Learning is more about memorizing. 2 plus 2, 3 plus 3 is 6. Bob walked down the street. The cat was in the car. Identifying, but really not using this to create. It's about being taught facts that they want you to memorize, and then you take a test. And upon passing that test, you get a smiley face. But if you notice the kids that were a little different, maybe a little creative, maybe Johnny didn't want to take the test and Johnny wanted to draw all day. What happened to those kids? Those kids were looked down upon. Okay. You know what I'm talking about, right? So the indoctrination of our education system, and this is not a knock on our teachers. Please do not take this way. It's part of the overall system where our kids have been shut down a lot with their creativeness, and it's all been about let's memorize. Let's memorize things. Okay. Then as you get older, what starts to take place? You get into a routine. Starts with daycare, starts with um, middle school, high school, then you go off to college if that's the road you go down. So that's the educational system, number one. Number two, the financial system. Nowhere in school is it taught how to be an entrepreneur. Nowhere in school have they been teaching how to be creative and how to create, how to earn money. Nowhere in the curriculum. But what they do teach you is how to get in debt. A lot of people going off to college, what do we have to get? Student loans. See what's happening here? And you join a class that is now largely in debt. You probably know 10 people right now that are in debt and drowning in debt. And this is what I had to learn. I didn't learn this until years later. My liability is somebody else's asset. And what do I mean by that? I'm glad you asked. Let's say, and I'm going to break this down very simply. Let's say you take a loan out for $100. And I'm going to talk about just simple interest. Okay, there's all other kind of interest, but this is just simple interest. You take a loan out for $100. It's 18% interest on that $100. Where do you think that 18% goes? Where do you think that $18 goes? It goes to the rich. It goes to the wealthy. Now you multiply that car loan, house loan, school loan, you have your Macy's credit card, you have all your other stuff. All of that liability goes in someone's pocket. That's the debt system. School was all about preparing us to be workers, to get in debt, to make the wealthy wealthy. And I'm not speaking against all wealthy people. I'm just trying to illustrate how this system works. There's nothing wrong with making money. I'm talking about the larger issue at hand. So while we don't learn about finances, we fall into what? The debt crisis. So you have the educational, the indoctrination, you fall into debt, and you become a slave to your what? Your job. And then the third piece is you are then taught that You don't have any answers about your life. You have to look outside of yourself. You have to literally look outside of yourself for answers. You can't go within. That is what is being taught. And you have so many people now on the planet that can't make a decision for themselves because they've been taught that they have to get permission before they do anything. So you go through an awakening and you realize that, hold up, all of this is, none of this makes sense. None of this makes sense. And for a lot of people, the awakening happens way, way deep in life. Then you start to look and question everything in your reality. Then you start to be like, wow, I knew I hated my job. Now I know why. You start questioning and looking at everything. Fam, I'm here to tell you, we have so much individual power. We have to start to tap into it more. We're so good at giving our power away. So good at giving our power away. I was thinking not too long ago, there's a certain actor that I like, and I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want to put any attention on him and take away from the message. Love this actor. But I've seen this same actor talk in real life, just in like interviews and stuff. And I'm here to tell you, he doesn't align with anything that I believe. And I'm going to tell you something, it broke my heart. It broke my heart because I had him on such a high pedestal, giving my what? Power away. And I was like crushed. And I remember during a meditation, they were communicating with me and they were saying, look, you gave your power away and you also didn't recognize the greatness within. And what I learned coming out of that meditation was that I loved what he was great at, which was performing on the screen. That's what I loved. But I had no business putting him on a pedestal that removed him from me. You and I just have just as much greatness in us. What we don't do is we don't take time to celebrate it and we don't celebrate each other. So we give a lot of entertainers, we give a lot of athletes, we give a lot of these so-called individuals so much power, and it's all of our individual power combined goes to these individuals. It's the same thing in sports. There are a number of athletes that I'm in awe because of what they can do with a ball. And I'm just keeping it 100% real with you. And I'm like, yeah, they're great, but that's not what this thing is about. Again, giving away power. And there's nothing wrong with appreciating that. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, great basketball player, great actor, great actress, great rapper. There's nothing wrong with that. But it should never be to the point, we should never give up so much of ourself that we lose ourselves within it. That every time we want to make a decision, we align ourselves with these individuals that we put on these pedestals. I hope that makes sense because it can get to a point where you start to do it unconsciously and not even know. I love the Cleveland Browns. Someone asked me the other day, are you watching the Browns? I'm like, no, I'm going to be right here because I'm celebrating my greatness. This is what I do. Just like they decided to play on Thursday night, I decided to be here on Thursday night. And guess what? Self is more important than what they're doing. They're doing what they're supposed to do, and I'm doing. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's what it's all about. We have to start celebrating self more. So, as you're coming out of an awakening, as you're going through this process, yes, we have to validate ourselves more. We have to validate one another. The power is in us individually. And I believe that's what's next for humanity is that we're going to start to balance the scale. Going back to the educational system, our teachers should be validated. Our teachers should be celebrated. Our physicians should be celebrated. Individuals that are working to help the less fortunate, those individuals should be celebrated. But for many years, I have to admit, I'm guilty. I celebrated actors, rappers, actresses, and people with a whole lot of money. But now in my awakening, I'm starting to shift my understanding. I can watch a football game and not get caught up with an individual and what their life is about and what they're doing and what they're doing on social media and what they're speaking. No, no. So I think a lot of the power is going to shift back to the individual. This is what I believe is next for humanity. It's going to come back to the individual, and we're individually going to know how great we are individually and be able to celebrate that as one. And when that starts to happen, people, hmm, the game changes. The game changes when we individually become the focus and then we unite. Oh, we the plug then. We're what's going on. But for many decades, the reverse has been happening, going back through time. And that's what I believe is happening as we evolve and we move through this 3D to 4D to 5D consciousness. The power is shifting. And that's why humanity's winning, because we are individually starting to realize that. And here's the kicker: year after year, I used to be really into, the football season, this, that, and the other. It's like every day, my attention to it just lessens. It's just, and I know it's because I'm evolving. I know it's because I'm starting to view things a little differently. That's why this is happening. So, if you're starting to notice that within you, that's what's happening. You're starting to rebalance things. You're starting to put things in the proper perspective for you. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But we have to start tapping into our individual power. Do you know that 97% of people wake up every day and they go to a place called work or go to a place called job that they don't like? 97%. I want you to think about that for a minute. That's part of the old earth. I was in Zoop a couple days ago, had to get some local restaurant, had to get my son some soup. And as I was approaching the door to walk in, their hours of operation have changed. They're now 11 to 3. And I'm like, wow, they're getting hit hard. So I'm in line and I hear the owner operator who's working behind the cash register, and he's talking about how nobody wants to work. Can't find anybody to work. And as I was walking out of the store, I thought to myself, is it that nobody wants to work, or are people just deciding that they want to contribute to humanity with working and doing something that aligns with who they are? Are people now out here finding creative ways to contribute? See, back when I was coming up, it was all about working. My first job was like at 14. I lied on my application, told them I was 16, started working. I was busting dishes in the back of a Ram's Horn restaurant. Back then, it was just about, hey, you need to get a job. You may have been 19, 20 years old, got a good job at the post office, nothing wrong with post office work, and you just stayed there for 20, 30, 40 years. That's the old earth. The new earth is about individuals tapping in to who they are and contributing in a way that serves them and also where they are. That's the new earth. That's where we are. So if you see this taking place, understand it for what it is. Understand that that's the direction we're going in. People are finding new ways to contribute that align with themselves, and that is key. That's key. Why should you be somewhere that you don't love? You got alarm clocks going off at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. People got to race to work. That's the old earth, because no one is inspired. People show up to work like, oh God. Whew. You know what I'm talking about? And as soon as you get there, you're like, when is it going to be 3 o'clock? When is break? When is 5 o'clock coming? That's part of the old earth. The new earth is, no, I want to do and contribute in ways that I'm inspired. I want to create. I want to feel alive with what I am contributing to humanity. That's part of the new earth. My partner and I, back in 2014, formed a company called Forever Phoenix. Shout out to Annette Holloman, who was blowing me up one Sunday morning. And one day we'll tell the full story. Meet me at the park. We need to talk. I'm like, oh God, here come with this crazy lady again. And I kind of knew what it was about. And we sat in the park on a bench and we talked. She laid out a vision that she felt we both could execute. I'm going to be very honest with you. And she knows it's true because we've talked about this. A lot of times when you're doing work that deals with helping people get better and evolve, any type of ministry work, there is a stigma that's attached to it that says poor. And in 2014, your boy was all about the money. Okay. If it don't make money, it don't make sense. That was my, yes, I was in total flesh. But as she was talking through with me about the vision, something just said, you know what, Ace, it's time. You got to do this. Like, it's time. There's a reason why all of this is taking place. And from that day on, we just kept adding to that idea, that seed, kept nurturing it, watering it. And 6.5 years later, this is where we're at. Company's up and running, company's doing well. Um, she's booked till the end of the year. People can't even get in to see her. But guys, that's what I'm talking about. An idea and a seed. Now, imagine if that wasn't acted on. Imagine that. And we've had, Annette and I have had a ton of conversations because where she was working at previously, it was not fulfilling her. She was thankful, but she knew that this ain't what I'm supposed to be doing. And I feel that there are a lot of human beings that are going through the same thing right now. And again, this is not a commercial for you to go quit your job. It's not what I'm saying. But if you do have this urge that there is something else that you're supposed to be aligned with, that feeling is not going to go away until you act on it. When you've been called, you've been called. Like, sometimes the universe doesn't give you a choice. Yeah, sometimes the universe says, you know what? No, we're done playing games with you. And you are going to move forward. To be honest with you, they've done that with me. Every aspect of my life was changed last year and coming into this year. Every aspect, except for one thing, and that was Forever Phoenix. That kept moving forward. Do not leave this planet with your idea in you and you haven't acted on it. Do not leave this planet without taking action, because it's part of the new earth. The new earth is set up right now for you to walk in your greatness, for you to take that idea of yours and to make it come alive. Right now, we are in the season of receiving. And if you program yourself correctly and align yourself with the universe correctly, with the what you're speaking, what you're thinking, and what you are being, everything else will take care of itself. The old earth was all about, how do you make a living? Who's heard that before? How do you make a living? What? How do I make a living? That would suggest that I'm dead. Okay, but that's the old thing. How do you make a living? Exchanging time for dollars. You know, in network marketing, they talk about that. That's what you're doing, exchanging time for dollars and freedom and this, that, and the other. And all that is true, but it goes a lot deeper than that. It's all about who you are being. Like what I'm doing now, this is what I am supposed to do. I'm many years late. But this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I've been put on this planet to do. You have something in you too. And that is not to suggest that people shouldn't work jobs. That's not what I'm saying. There will always be individuals that are kind of like in between, probably not sure what they need to do. And yeah, they do need to be in a position where they can sustain themselves. But in no way should anybody come to this planet and give away 40 years of their life to something that they don't feel good about doing. So, what's next for humanity is we're going to see a lot more creativity from individuals that are just not going to, no, I'm not just going to be working to be working. A lot of industries are going to be born. A lot of people are making money digitally now, online. Look at what's going on with the cryptocurrency space. And I know some of you guys are sitting on the sidelines just watching it. This thing is happening and it's going to replace the monetary system. Everything is evolving. Do you know how long I fought email? Email. What are you talking about? Like, I fought email for a long time. I didn't embrace it. I'm not making that mistake anymore. Now I understand what's going on. Cryptocurrency is the evolution of our monetary system. Blockchain technology is the evolution of what we now call the internet. There are technologies that are taking place just when you thought, okay, this is it. Guess what? New things get added on. This technology is going through the roof. Look at the gaming industry. Do you know you have people buying like virtual real estate, digital real estate online? Check out Decentraland. I own some cryptocurrency called Mana through Decentraland. People are in there, this digital virtual world. People are buying real estate, homes. People are making a living. This is the evolution of where the planet is going. And I'm not saying that we all have to participate, but you do have to be aware enough to observe that, wow, things are changing. All of these are ideas, seeds that have been planted that are now sprouting out and growing. These are individuals that say, no, we're not dealing with the old earth. We're bringing about what's new. So that's what's next for humanity. More individual power. And when I have more individual power and you have more individual power and we come together collectively, like I said earlier, now we're the plug. Now we validate and celebrate one another. Now we put ourselves on a pedestal. When was the last time you celebrated yourself? When was the last time you gave yourself a high five? I want you to think about that. We have to get back into a creative mindset. And again, I'm not suggesting that everyone go out here and start a business. That's not what I'm saying. But what we can do is take more initiative in the life we are creating. You might be a writer, you might be a poet, you might be a dancer, you might be a painter. You may be a educator that has a new way of teaching kids. Maybe you have a new curriculum that involves teaching kids how to deal with their emotions, their feelings, that fighting isn't the way to solve everything. There are so many opportunities. There's so many seeds in all of us. You have to bring it out. So that's what's next for humanity. Remember, individual empowerment plus unity is a win for humanity. And the one percenters, the global elites, they know they're losing. I know what you're seeing on the alphabet stations. I know what you're seeing. It's all dark, it's all negative. They are pulling out every piece of weapon that they can. It doesn't matter. We're evolving, we're moving. We're not out the woods yet. The next couple months are going to be crazy. You're going to start seeing some things that you're like, but A said no. It's we still got to go through a little bit more crap. But but the future is extremely bright. Yes, I talk about the virtual governments. TikTok's one of them. They'll take down this video and take down that video. But do you know what's so interesting? I have a renewed faith in humanity because I see a lot of people on TikTok that put content up that just beautiful. There's so many people that want to help. So many people. So as hard as they're working to take things down, we are individually working harder to prop each other up. Beautiful. There are a lot of individuals that are understanding their seat of greatness. There are a lot of individuals that are not only understanding their seat of greatness, but they're starting to walk in that seat of greatness. They're starting to walk in their purpose. They're starting to be the example. They're starting to be the light. And when you can turn your light on, other people will start noticing it. You give them permission to turn their light on. Then we're now united on a couple different fronts. And then we start to move forward. So recognize what's next for humanity is the continuation of us evolving. Yes, the globalists, the elites, whatever you want to call them, they're going to throw everything at us. It's their last ditch effort. But trust me when I tell you this, the old earth is shedding, the new earth is emerging. And it's emerging in ways that you and I can't even comprehend. Remember, and I think I said this in a video not too long ago, one person at a state of enlightenment is equivalent to 10,000 plus people in a state of negativity. That's why when you light a candle in a dark room, you can what? You can see. One person at a state of enlightenment, at a state of peace, and those higher levels of energy, vibration, is equivalent to 10,000 people in a state of negativity. We get 15% of this planet where it needs to be, game over. The game's already over. So when you wake up in the morning, do yourself a favor, set an intention for your day. Set an intention for how you choose to be that day because you have a choice. You have a choice. You don't have to be negative. You can choose to be negative, but you don't have to be negative. Instead of waking up every morning and grabbing your phone, because that's what most of us do, we wake up in the morning and the first thing we got to do is grab our phone. We got to see what's on social media. Instead of doing that, get up every morning. As soon as your eyes open, the first 5 to 7 minutes, sit there and rattle off the things that you're grateful for. Those first 5 to 7 minutes, show thankfulness, gratefulness, appreciation for everything that you have. Your day will start better. Do your routines a little different. A couple videos ago, I talked about cold showers. Cold showers will stimulate you like none other. There's so many different things you can do. Meditation in the morning is so important. Let's take our individual power back and recognize how powerful we are within. Because the big deception is you're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not adequate. You need this. You need that. You don't have that. That means you're a sucker. Oh, you have no money. Oh, you're a pile of shit. That's been the message that's being sent. Is money important? Yeah. We want to live a lifestyle. We want to be able to do some of the things we want to do. My whole thing is this: we all have a different definition of what freedom is for our life. What I'm asking you to consider is find out what that is for you. See, this is freedom for me. What I'm doing right here, this is freedom for Ace because I can do this all day long. This is what I've been wanting to do that I was so afraid to do. Literally, I've been doing it for the last 12 years with my salespeople. I took a sales operation and I figured out a way for me to do what I do within the sales operation, and my salespeople got better at selling. Broke all kind of records. And every Monday and Thursday, no matter where I was in the country, Ace did his one too, which is what I'm doing here. So I love, this is freedom to me. This is what I was put on this. This is why I came to this planet, this in this incarnation to do. And somehow Annette knew it when she first met me and she said, we're going to be in business together. I didn't know what I didn't know then. Okay. So as I close out, when you wake up, spend some time with self. Super, super important. Find as many people as you can that day and celebrate them. Let's start being genuine to one another. That's where our power is. We can't control what they're trying to use to deceive us and manipulate. We can't control that. But you and I can control how we interact with each other. You and I can control who we're being as we're going throughout our day. That we can control. And if we can get more people to just focus on themselves, we win collectively, like we're winning now. And it'll become more noticeable. We don't have to operate in this thing called fear. We don't have to be subdued by fear. Every time we hear something on one of the alphabet stations, we run for cover. We don't have to operate that way. We have our own individual sovereignty. The planet's been around a lot longer than the last 2 years. I want you to consider that. A lot of deception going on. I've chosen to jump out of that matrix. And there's some things I'm still jumping in the matrices with. I might get off here and see what the Browns are doing. However, I understand it for what it is, and I don't put it out there on such a high pedestal that it affects me or takes away my power. So, hope that makes sense. Okay. Hey, make sure you check out Affirmations with Ace. Click on my YouTube. I think I've got 11 weeks. I'm concluding the Affirmations with Ace series next Monday, and then we're going to go into another series, but make sure you check that out. A lot of great stuff dealing with affirmations. I want to thank all the people that plugged in through Clubhouse. I want to thank my IG family. Thanks for being here. I want to thank all the people that plugged in on YouTube, Facebook, and on HAPS. I want to thank you all. Hey, know that I love you. I genuinely love you. I do this because this is my contribution to humanity. And I'm going to be here 2, 3 times a week to just keep reminding you of how great you are and keep triggering you for you to be your very best self. Okay. Love and respect. And I look forward to seeing all of you in the next video. I'm out.